Is going to give voice to one particular testimony that was captured through Surf's work. Joanna.
I'm going to read the testimony of Daphrose, once a completely normal, sweet, happy woman, just living a normal life. This is her account of life before the genocide. I met my late husband whilst he was working as a customs officer. At the time, I had a job with an Indian company clearing goods at customs. Once I got to know him, he would sometimes help me jump the queue to get my goods cleared quicker. This made my boss happy with my work. I started to treat him as a brother. I was young then. He was 8 years older than me. I didn't ever think of him as my future husband, but I think he always fancied me and wanted me to be his wife. I was then carefree, funny, and wild. I jumped and ran everywhere. He would tell me to behave as a grown woman. I would tell him to save his lectures for his future wife. After a time, we met each other's parents. My father grew fond of him, and my mother always spoke highly of him as a potential husband who would make me happy. I really didn't want to marry someone older than me. In the end, I gave in to pressure and agreed to marry him. It was a decision I never once regretted. We lived a happy life. We never argued or quarreled. We understood each other. We had no problems in our marriage. We always thought we would grow old and die in old age together. My husband always made time for us to go out together. We had 5 beautiful children, 2 boys and 3 girls. We would go to Lake Muhazi and have fun. He adored the children. He would always come back home from work with something in a carrier bag, presents for the children. He knew what each child liked. They could never wait for him to come home. In short, we had everything we needed. We never lacked anything, nor did the children go without things they wanted. We were not rich, but we certainly weren't poor. We had just enough. The house we lived in had 4 rooms. Girls slept in one room and boys in the other. We had a family car, and my husband had a company car. We didn't work weekends. By the time the children had grown up, I'd left my job and set up my own business, running a bar in a room off the main house. And then the genocide begins. When the genocide began, my housekeeper promised he would help protect us, but he was Interahamwe, which means one of those that had killed. We still tried to live normally despite the genocide. We would open the bar, but few people would come to drink. Those who did would leave without paying. On the 3rd day, things went from bad to worse. The Interahamwe stormed the bar. They took everything. Our housekeeper was among them. Finally, we decided to try to escape the madness. We left the house but didn't get far. My husband was captured and beaten, and I was forced to return home. He told us to expect the worst. The Interahamwe dragged him back to the house, demanding that he give them all he owned, saying he wouldn't need it anymore as he was going to die. They forced him to sign away his cars, property, and belongings. They hit him and sat him in the chair in the sitting room. They brought us all in the sitting room and started forcing us to take our clothes off. The housekeeper raped me. My husband wanted to intervene, but they staved him off, hitting him with a masseuse, a club with nails, on his neck. He fell back in the chair. They would pour beer for us to drink, mocking us that Tutsi women did not want them before, but that now they were going to have us. Each took us in turns. My son tried to stop them, I suppose thinking he was going to die anyway. But they fought him off, hitting him with everything they had, masseuse, knives, sticks, until he died. The Interahamwe said they wouldn't waste a bullet on him, and they threw him behind the chair that my husband was sitting in. Then they continued raping us. My daughters wanted to scream out in pain, but were too scared to, so we remained quiet. My husband was forced to watch the whole ordeal. They didn't want to kill him quickly. They wanted him to watch, then die slowly. Helplessly, he watched them violating us. Then they hit him with a hammer on his head and back. He died the next day. The rape continued into the 2nd day. I couldn't take it anymore, but when I tried to resist, they hit me on my arm and shoulder. Blood started flowing, and the children began to scream. They attempted to run off, but were stopped. They continued to rape my daughters too, saying they wanted to test Tutsi women. They then slashed me with a knife across my breast. Every so often they would take a break to drink whiskey, which made them go even more crazy, as they took it in turns, moving from one of us then to another. By the time they left, we couldn't even stand. Sorry. The housekeeper boasted about raping me, his employer, to the others. He knifed my privates after raping me. On the third day, they returned with a community officer. She said she was going to protect my girls. But when... I'm so sorry about this. Forgive me. It's important, so please stay with me. When she left with the intra-hamway, I could hear them mocking me, saying they were going to take them to be their wives. I was left alone. People would come to the house, look in at me, and just leave. I had no one to bring me water. Sweetheart, I had Mary to bring me water. Yeah. I had no one to help bury my husband and son. They told me they wanted to see how a Tutsi corpse decomposes. And now she speaks about surviving today. A soldier that I used to bribe to keep friendly so that he wouldn't take away my car found me and my dead husband and son. People had looted my house, coming in and out, carrying goods, stepping over me though I was still alive. Some even stepped on me. He ordered the neighbors to bury my husband and son behind our house. He was helping to move injured people from place to place and said he may be able to take me, pretending I was a wife of a soldier. He told me first to find my children, then he would return to take us away. A neighbor, Seba Zungu, had hidden Innocenti and Eric. Thankfully, they were safe. After a week, the soldier returned and took us to a Red Cross camp. The Red Cross treated me, and the wounds began to heal, but once the war ended, they asked for those who had somewhere to return to leave. I couldn't go back to Kiyovu for fear that the Interahamwe was still hiding there and would kill me and my children. I didn't think anyone else had survived except us three. When the soldier came to check on us, I asked him to take me to my parents' home, hoping they were still alive. We slowly began to try to rebuild our lives. We asked for support from Avega, which is the Widows of the Genocide Association, which is funded by the Survivors Fund, and got help with dealing with post-traumatic stress. They trained us and advised us on how to survive. I received help with coping mechanisms. Sometimes I was given specialized training to help solve the many problems I faced. They helped me to find ways of dealing with the aftermath of genocide, helping my children to cope, and that gave me great strength. I struggled with my business and managed to build us a new home away from where we used to live to escape the neighbors. We are managing somehow, not the way we used to live, but not so badly off either. The bottom line is that we cannot go without food. To think that I can see the future and plan ahead is impossible. I will take whatever God plans. How am I able to keep my morale high? How can I smile? But now, sometimes, I even have a laugh. Bless her. Thank you.